My girlfriend keeps telling me to break up with her after getting news that she's not got much longer to live. What am I supposed to do? This is all still really fresh, and my hands are really shaky thinking about it. So please excuse any typos or grammatical errors. I met my girlfriend, who I genuinely believe to be the absolute love of my life, about half a year ago. At the time, neither of us were looking for a relationship, and it had been 2 years since both our last ones. I cursed my memory for not being able to remember every single moment of how we met, but it was so authentic and just magical. I was getting on a last-minute flight back home, which was a 13-hour flight. I was one of the first ones to board, and I ended up with an aisle seat. An older woman, maybe mid-40s, got the middle seat right next to me, which I was indifferent to. I tried staying reserved and just avoiding any interaction I could with her. A couple minutes later, this absolutely gorgeous girl just came and sat in the window seat next to her. Now, immediately, I'm trying even harder to just avoid any interaction with either of these two because I'm a 6-foot bearded dude, and this girl was barely 5 feet even, and the woman next to her was not much bigger. I don't have social anxiety, but I just don't particularly like chatting with strangers on an airplane, especially because if you don't like them, you're kind of just stuck in place for the next 12 hours. An hour or two goes by where I can just distract myself with music or a movie, but the whole time, I can just hear these two just going on and on with each other. Turns out the woman was a semi-popular travel influencer on Instagram, so she and the girl were just talking about past trips, cultures, and all that jazz. Eventually, the girl needs to use a restroom, so I've got to get up to let her out, especially since I'm a foot taller, and it must have been less than a second, but when we made eye contact, she just had an indescribable sparkle in her eyes. The influencer woman then just starts chatting with me, and I just tell her about how I'm in university, and then she just mentions, "You should talk to that girl. She's going to university here too." I sort of ignored it, but by that time the girl was done and was getting back to her seat. It was then the woman just introduces her to me, and it was just an instant connection. It felt unreal. She didn't feel like a stranger. She lived in the same city as I did. So just off that, most of our childhood experiences are almost the same. Our cultural background was the same too, and we were able to make each other laugh almost instantly. We watched a movie together and almost couldn't stop talking to each other until we landed. Here, I had to make a decision. As we were leaving, the influencer woman wanted our Instagrams, and I gave mine, and the girl had asked me to remind her to take it down when we left. Here's where my cycle of self-sabotage starts, because I genuinely thought this was too good to be true, so I decided to just not remind her and leave instantly and not look back a second. I remembered her name, though, and about a day later, I see her profile in the suggested, and it's just wow. I didn't think beauty like this existed till I met her. She is the most gorgeous girl I've ever seen. It was private, and I didn't even know if she remembered me, but I sent the follow, and well, the rest is history. Very, very good history. Our relationship, starting from our first date, was just the definition of unapologetic and unconditional love and romance. I loved every single thing about her, and she healed and helped me through so many unaddressed traumas I had. We did almost every corny/cringe thing love can make you, and during our time together we rarely ever argued and went to bed every single night with a smile. A little before Christmas, after she goes back to her parents' place, she just wants a break and said the relationship was getting too much for her. I didn't want a break, but since we were on our winter break from school anyway, I figured it's best she did just be with her parents. I reached back out to her yesterday, and everything I heard crushed my soul. The love of my life has a terminal heart condition that projects not much time left, and all she does is just telling me to move on, but every single part of me doesn't want to. This girl loved me. This girl healed me, and just when things were getting better, and I could be a better boyfriend for her, she wants to leave. She tells me I deserve a girl who'll be around longer, and that she can't do this anymore. She brought up the fact that, especially early on, I had anger and trust issues, and that I did hurt her a lot. I never meant to hurt her, but she'd always just choose to silently heal me, which is something I still can't truly appreciate her enough for, and I promise to do anything and everything I can to be better for her. What sucks the most is from the outside looking in. Everything looks perfect. My life is objectively good, but in my head I'm miserable. I haven't slept in almost 2 days, and the only times I get rest is when I drive over to nearby parking lot and just cry till my eyes are too numb to stay open, and that gives me an hour or two. I can't go a couple seconds without thinking about her. While we were together also happened to easily be the best time of my life mentally and financially too, and my life was just on such an upwards trajectory until today. I'd always call her my wife, and right now all I want is my wife more than anything. I don't want to give up on her. And I know this sort of love only comes around once in a lifetime, but what if staying is hurting her? I don't know what to do, and I'm not in a good headspace to make any decisions. So, what do you think? Is this worth fighting for, or is it already over? On to the next story. I feel like my fiancé finds me unattractive after a devastating car accident. I am crushed and need help. Hey everyone, I really need to get this off my chest. I'm not sure if sharing it here will help me process everything, but I just feel so lost right now. A few months ago, I was involved in a devastating car accident that changed my life in ways I never thought possible. I was driving home from work, and the last thing I remember is the blaring horn of another car before everything went dark. When I woke up, I was in the hospital, and it took me a while to grasp what had happened. I suffered serious injuries that left me partially paralyzed on one side of my body, and with some disfigurements that I never had to deal with before. Before the accident, my fiancée Chloe and I had an incredibly intimate relationship. We were those couple who couldn't keep their hands off each other. We made love nearly every day, shared everything, and had plans for our future that felt so solid. I thought we were in it for the long haul. But ever since the accident, things have changed, and I'm not sure how to cope with it. Chloe has been amazing in some ways. She's been my rock, helping me through the physical therapy sessions, supporting me emotionally, and taking on extra work to cover our bills since I can't work right now. I appreciate everything she's done, but there's this feeling gnawing at me that I can't shake. It's like I've become a burden instead of a partner. Lately, I've noticed that she seems distant. We used to spend hours talking, laughing, and just enjoying each other's company. Now, it feels like she's always tired and distracted. When I try to initiate intimacy, she brushes me off, saying she's just exhausted from working extra shifts and taking care of me. I want to believe her, but deep down, I can't help but feel like she sees me differently now. The other night, I mustered the courage to ask her if she still found me attractive. I don't know if it was the right thing to do, but I had to know. She looked taken aback, and after a long pause, she said, "Of course I do. I love you. But things are just different now." That different felt like a dagger to my heart. It's like she was trying to reassure me, but ended up confirming my worst fears. I've been replaying our intimate moments in my head. How she would look at me with desire, the way she would touch me like I was the only person in the world. Now, I feel like I'm just a reminder of what we used to have, and it's breaking me. I've tried to talk to her about it, but every time I bring it up, she gets defensive and says she's just tired. I don't want to push her away, but I feel like I'm already losing her. I know I'm not the same person I was before the accident. I look in the mirror and see the changes. My body isn't what it used to be, and I can't help but think that's affecting how she sees me. I've tried to work on my self-esteem, but it's hard when the person you love the most seems to be struggling to love you back in the same way. I'm at a crossroads. Part of me wants to fight for our relationship because I love her so much, and I believe we can get through this together. But another part of me thinks maybe I should let her go. If she's unhappy and I'm holding her back, maybe it's better for both of us. I just don't know if I'm being selfish by wanting to hold on to something that might not be salvageable. So, I'm reaching out for your advice. Should I keep trying to save this relationship, or is it time to let her go? How do I navigate these feelings of inadequacy and fear of losing the love of my life? Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening. What did you think of these stories? Let me know your thoughts about them in the comments, and thanks for listening.